everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we're gonna have a little discussion about a lot of different things, but the main one that we're gonna be talking about today is moving on, but not necessarily moving on from this YouTube channel. I know a lot of YouTubers nowadays, a lot of them have been leaving, a lot of them have retired from doing YouTube content. That's not me. Because, for one thing, I'm enjoying this way too much right now to even want to stop making videos. I mean, I literally just refreshed the PhoenixStarYT channel and Koen's Corner with it a while ago. Because I really want to continue doing this thing, and I really want to continue doing what I do. Now, today we're going to have a discussion about something that I think is going to affect a lot more people than most other things in life. And it has to do with moving on from college, the job you may or may not hate, or anything else that you may find exhausting. Because it is a really tough thing to wrap your head around, or to even decide that you may want to move on from something. It's always difficult to move on from literally anything that you can think of. A lot of people to this day still have trouble moving on from an era when smartphones barely even existed. The most phones that you would find are little dumb phones like this, these little flip phones. This is still so much fun to do. Like, they were tiny, right? These things were tiny, they were easy to fit in a pocket. Everybody used one of these back in the day. Like, if you haven't seen anything like this, because you're maybe older than or younger than 12 at this point, this was what a phone used to look like, or at least to a certain extent for a while. Back in the 1990s and the 2000s, this was pretty much the form factor that we had. We had a tiny little postage stamp for a screen. We had a number pad right here, D-pad, OK button, and just basically all sorts of physical buttons all over the place. And I don't know if this one had a proprietary, yeah, it had a proprietary charger port. So this is what charging used to look like back in the day. This is a charging port of today, right? It's just a USB Type-C port, which is crazy to think about that was the norm back in the day. But it was, like, this is pretty much what smartphones used to look like. A lot of people still can't fully grasp that, especially people older than me, like above the age of 30, maybe 40, something like that, still cannot fully grasp the fact that this is just completely and totally obsolete. There is still a market for phones like this. Maybe not in the form of this, because this is just, when you consider the amount of stuff that you have to accomplish nowadays, that just cannot be done on a phone like this, because for one thing, it's just way too small. And the software that runs on here came out way before Android even existed, or before iPhone even existed. So the software on this is very, very outdated, and it's no longer being maintained, which goes without saying, right? This came out in, like, I think the early 2000s, this particular model. I'm not entirely certain on that, because I'm not fully in line with a lot of old dumb phone kind of stuff. But yeah, this was pretty much it for a while. Now, what is crazy about that is that a lot of people still can't fully move on from this to a smartphone. I know a friend who is actually on that very same boat. He is about the same age as me, but he pretty much surrounds himself with all sorts of retro tech. Like, if he could, I know for a fact he would still be using one of these bad boys, a Macintosh Plus, which this particular one is not functional. It is completely broken, but that is besides the point. He doesn't really have a lot of modern technology that he enjoys using. Like, he finds it difficult to even hook up and use a Windows XP computer. He would much rather just use something as old as this thing, which just goes to show how many people, and for the record, that guy is about the same age as me, and he doesn't like to use anything remotely modern. He would much rather just stick with something like this. But this is just virtually unusable in a lot of ways, so he can't use it. He has to use a more modern equivalent of this, but he doesn't even like to use that because it's just a little bit too modern for him, which is completely understandable. But like that is just one big example that I can think of when it comes to moving on from something. But the kind of moving on that I recently had to get into, because there was something happened to me recently that that made me think a lot. Something that opened the doors to a lot of possibilities for me, and something that ultimately is going to change my life for the better. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have been a full-time student for about 6 years now. And for the most part, it's been an absolute blast. I've had a lot of fun learning stuff about computers because I was getting an education in IT specifically. And I had a lot of fun with that. I learned a lot of stuff in terms of IT, and I know for a fact that the skills that I have learned when it comes to building servers, when it comes to configuring servers, installing and configuring Linux, although I've been doing that for about 6 years now, you know, that kind of thing. I've learned a lot, and I am definitely very happy with what I have done and what I've learned and what I'm capable of nowadays, because the skills that you're going to learn in college are going to be extremely valuable. Whether you have a good or bad experience doesn't really matter for the most part, when you're just taking into account the kind of skills that you learn in college. Like, it is amazing how many skills you can actually learn in college that I know for a fact are going to be extremely valuable for anyone moving forward. It is a shame that a lot of people that I spent time with in college don't really realize that, and instead just kind of fucked around for the most part. But we'll get there when we get there. I definitely do not regret going to college at all. So that's something that I was very nervous about when I got into it, that I was going to deeply regret going into college in the first place. But I don't. Although I had a really bad time, and again, we'll get there when we get there. I definitely did have some very good moments in college, for sure. I learned a lot. I had a lot of fun learning the things that I ended up learning, and I am very glad at the end of the day that I even got started with college in the first place, and that I am where I am right now. Now, one unfortunate thing about college that I learned is that college, where I live, for the record, I live in the Netherlands, and our education system sucks. Like, it's just straight up sucks. There's a lot of levels to it that I am not even gonna begin to get into. I might edit an entire picture of what the system looks like on paper, but try to explain this to anyone outside of the Netherlands, and you will go absolutely insane. Like, very few people from my country barely even try to explain how the education system works. There's so many levels to it that it's just gonna end up confusing people. Like, it confused me when I first heard about it when I was a kid, because I went to a special school for people on the autism spectrum specifically, like people with some kind of a mental handicap or with a physical handicap or whatever. Those kinds. I went to a special school for those kids, And they often would not learn a lot of basic things like this. They won't educate kids for what the real world is actually like, what college is like, what work is like. You know, there's very little that they actually teach, very little valuable skills that kids actually want to learn, care about, and that are actually going to be remotely useful for them. Which really does suck, because it means that I literally had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into when I got into college in the first place. Because going into it, I legitimately thought that it was going to be an absolute breeze. I would not have any problems whatsoever with anything that was going to come my way, whether it be school assignments, the kind of people that I would be spending my time with, costs, because school costs a lot of money. And a lot of things like that. Like there was just so much that went into college, and I was not prepared for any of it. And no one in my school was prepared for that shit. And that was just really damn frustrating, because that essentially means that when you go into college, it literally just hits you like a freaking truck. And it is not going to go easy on you. College in the Netherlands does not go easy on people. Like, it's a tough world. It's really freaking tough. And frankly, I really did not enjoy a lot of what was happening in school. And again, we will get to that. But yeah, the point is, I was not ready for what was coming my way. No one in my school was ready for what was going to come their way whenever they started college. And a little fun fact, in fact, about how that exactly went. So my entire classroom consisted of people on the autism spectrum, with ADHD, with dyslexia, with anything like that, really. And out of all of the kids in my particular class, I was the only one who actually went to college in my entire class. And to be clear, we had like 20 other kids who were in that classroom at the time. So I was the only one out of all of them who ended up going to college. And most kids in this particular school would end up either in a supermarket, in a restaurant. They would end up doing some sort of freelance work, which is always just a bad idea, if you ask me. Like, freelance work. I've enjoyed freelance work for a while. Like, I've been doing video editing for a variety of different content creators, but it is not reliable in the slightest. And a lot of kids from that in that school will either have to do that, go into restaurants, go into supermarkets, or something else. Just really, really shitty jobs that I know for a fact most kids in that school will not enjoy in the least. Like, they are just going to cripple away, just waste themselves in the workplaces that they end up going. And that honestly really, really upsets me. But anyway, I was the only kid in my entire class, or in that entire class, that ended up going to college. Which, not gonna lie, I am really proud of myself for actually getting that far. But that really goes to show just how tough school life in that school can be, and how little experience or how little is actually taught there. In terms of how far kids can actually go. Because the thing with that particular class is also that a lot of kids there have so much potential, which will never be realized because reasons. And this is also not to talk shit on any of the kids who went to that particular school. I met a lot of cool people there, but they are just actively being wasted in that school for the talents that they have and the things that they can do and everything. But yeah, when I started going into college, like, it was hard. It was very fucking hard. And here's the thing with college, and something that I've heard from a lot of people is that college is really dang tough, and you will have to be prepared for that, and you will have to realize that not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Obviously, I've already had experience with that because I already had experience with really horrible people who were actively trying to ruin my life when I was going to high school. So I already had a little bit of experience with that. But when you go into college, for whatever reason, what would often happen at the particular schools that I went to when I was going to college was that a lot of the people who go there are just some of the worst kinds of people you can possibly imagine. Like, there's a lot of bullies who go to these kinds of schools, and a lot of just disgraceful people in general. I've had experiences with people just shouting all the time, screaming all the time, just swearing. Now, I don't really have a problem with people swearing at all, but when you just swear with in literally every single sentence you talk, it gets really annoying to me personally. Me especially have had issues with people harassing me, threatening me to beat me up or some shit. People have screamed at me. I've been punched in the neck at one point. I've been stolen from, and I've had just a lot of really bad experiences altogether in college. There was this one particular school that was very protective of me, luckily, because they just wanted to make sure that I was doing all right in that school. So luckily, the classroom that I had in this one school was very big because we were with like 85 people in that one classroom, which is insane to me that was even a thing that happened. There also tended to be like 5 or 6 professors at once in that classroom, which is just crazy. And even then, they were not able to maintain the peace there. Like, the people were always shouting, always just incredibly loud. And that was not a good time at all. But I was particularly being harassed there and constantly being bothered, attacked at one point. And at a certain point, they were like, we have this one particular spot where nobody ever gets there. You can hang out there, do your assignments there if you so desire, and just spend the rest of the school year there. And I was very, very happy when that happened, because I was not gonna finish that school year. I can tell you that much, if I wasn't at the very least able to to just have my own little safe zone. Because let me tell you this: I am extremely vulnerable in a lot of instances, and I'm also very anxious about a lot of things, and I need to be 100% certain that the environment that I find myself in, school or otherwise, is safe, and that I can rely on other people around me to be there for me when I need them. And for the most part, that works amazingly well. I've always had someone with me, be it a professor or some friends that I made in college, who were always going to be there for me no matter what, and who I could rely on if I needed protection or anything like that. If I was never alone. Essentially, I was always with someone at the time. Which was really nice because, like I said, I had to deal with some really terrible people who I know for a fact were gonna make my life hell if I was all alone in college. And this one particular time, like this school year, in fact, something happened that I honestly just made me really happy that I decided to drop out when I did, because I dropped out of college. Spoiler alert. Because my previous education in IT bombed. It bombed hard. Like, I tried my absolute hardest, but I'm very prone to stress. I get very stressed out very easily. So we had like 14 different classes at one point in this particular education, which is an absolutely insane amount of classes to take in 1 week. And it was overwhelming me to my absolute core, and I really was not having a good time. A lot of assignments came in, of course, because for every single class you get at least one assignment that you need to get done, and a lot of them, of course, had to be done on a computer. So you were just basically dragging a laptop around all over the place. I also still have that very same laptop with me, actually, because I am never gonna get rid of this thing for as long as I still can use it. I had my MacBook Pro with me all the time because this is what I used to do my schoolwork on. Despite the fact that my teachers actively discouraged me from using a Mac, I was using a Mac because it was what I had, and I absolutely was not gonna buy another laptop just to do some fucking schoolwork, especially because I already had a different laptop that is laying back there on my bed because I'm lazy and I don't want to clean it up right now. But you were constantly dragging a laptop all over the place. That MacBook is freaking heavy. So that was just fun, especially when you have to drag it around on your back all the time. There was just and a lot of the assignments that I was doing were on that very laptop. Hooking it up is kind of a nightmare for me. I'm not in a very comfortable position to be constantly plugging in and unplugging my MacBook just to do some schoolwork. I would put my MacBook down here in this area where I currently have all of my retro consoles and stuff. Well, the problem is my retro consoles are currently living here, and I don't really have another spot to put them. So basically, I am stuck with what I got here, and my assignments would have to be done on my MacBook if I don't manage to get them done during classes. So that was a nightmare and a half. And again, there were just a lot of assignments to get done, and a lot of them also had very strict, very tight deadlines that I needed to get done, and it was just a mess, and it really was overwhelming a lot of the time, and I did not have a good time with that. At one point, it got so incredibly bad because assignments, of course, as the year progressed, got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the deadlines were getting tighter and tighter, and it was stressing me out to my core, to the point where I was essentially just completely beyond myself. I was losing myself, and at one point it was even I mean, no exaggeration when I say that, was actively killing me. Because I lost my way to live the more, the further along I got with it. And the very moment that I realized that I was losing my will to live at all, that was the moment where I first started to say to myself, no, I am not gonna do this any harder and any longer than I already have. I need to enjoy life for what it is, because life can genuinely be beautiful, and the fact that I am currently not seeing that is a big issue. That is absolutely not like me. So I have to do something about it. So I took massive steps back. I pretty much neglected college for well over a month or two before I finally started to get back into it. I really badly tried to pick things up again from that point forward. I really wanted to end the school year on a high note, but it just did not work out, unfortunately. It really did not. So my mentor, by the end of the school year, because I didn't get the grades that I needed to go on anymore, or to go further, decided that he needed to give me some advice. And the same thing went for for the school manager at the time, who also gave me a couple of options for what to do in the following school year. I could either just continue with what I was doing, so that meant going forward with the education that I was already doing. But if I was to do that, I had to really give it my all, even though I already did give it my all prior to that. But that's besides the point. Or I could go into a different education that was still going to be relatively similar to what I was already doing, just not quite as hard, maybe a little bit less stressful, and I would only have to do it in 1 year, except for 3 years or 2, which my mentor thought would be the better option, and I believed that it would be a better idea too, to just do that instead of continuing with what I was with the education that I was already doing, thus continuing with something that I already did not enjoy in the least anymore as it was. So I wanted to get into a completely fresh start. I wanted to just do something different, but still similar, because I still wanted to do something in IT. This time, instead of configuring and building servers, I would be configuring and building regular computers. So I would be learning how to build a Windows install, how to configure it, and how to work with hardware essentially in general. Which, in my honest opinion, I think that is a severe upgrade to what I was doing prior. Like, I like messing around with server-related things. I like messing around with Linux and all of that. But it's not necessarily something that I see myself really doing for a living. I would much rather just build PCs, install an operating system on it, and configure it to the liking of the buyer. So that's what I enjoy. So computer refurbishers, repair shops, you know, that kind of thing. That's what I would like to get into. So this seemed like a great option. I went into it with very high hopes and with excitement, like, I'm finally gonna do this again. And I went into it, and within 1 week, I immediately dropped out. Like, I just quit, never looked back, and since then, I have been a dropout student. So what happened? Well, what didn't happen is a better question, because I've had what might have been one of the worst weeks of my life in that 1 week, for a number of different reasons. So I was scared, to put it bluntly. I was incredibly scared. Why was I scared? Because the people who I had around me, everybody there knew each other. I was alone. Everyone knew each other, and fun fact, they were all the worst people I have ever had the displeasure of being in a space with. Like, they were all shouting, loud, obnoxious, and I very strongly believe, and I know this because a lot of them like to brag about it as well, that they also tended to be very aggressive and love to fight with people. So I was absolutely frightened being there. And I was frightened from the very beginning that I went into there. The very first school day, within 3 hours, I was already losing my mind. I was already very scared. And it got so bad that I actually, I had like 6 hours worth of classes that day. I went home after 3 hours. Because nobody was going to stop me from going home early in that school. So if I wanted to, I could just get the first train back home and just go home for the rest of the day. That is exactly what I did. And I did that 2, maybe 3 times in that very same week. Because I was just so incredibly scared. I did not feel safe there. And this was not an environment where I could have my little safe zone where I could just make all of my school assignments and whatnot. No, these classrooms were a lot smaller, a lot tighter, and they were just big enough to fit the amount of students that I had to share a classroom with, which, by the way, was 30 people. Literally everybody there knew each other, and they were all awful people. And they were all scaring the crap out of me. So I decided that I am not going to do this. I am not going to do this because I know for a fact, especially because at a certain point, they actually started approaching me because apparently they started noticing me, I guess, at a certain point. And here's the thing: if people start noticing you and they start bothering you, in these instances, you are stuck with them. They are never gonna leave you alone anymore. They're gonna continuously bother you for as long as you will share the exact same classroom as them. And there is nothing that you or anyone else can do about it. Sure, you have a very temporary sense of security when you're in the classroom and there's a teacher standing in front of you there watching everyone and everything that happens. But that's a very temporary sense of security that only lasts for when you're in the classroom or inside the school, for that matter. Once you step outside of that classroom, they are literally your classmates can literally just do whatever the heck they desire with you. And if you're particularly timid, like me, you're just gonna let it happen. And that is what often would happen to me. And I was very afraid that when we would finish a whole school day, that I would be walking out of school and that they would be waiting for me, like every single one of those guys would be waiting for me at a certain point to beat me up. I'm 24 years old, for the record. I don't take this kind of thing lightly. A lot of those guys were much bigger than I am, in terms of height, but also in terms of muscle. So they were much bigger, much stronger than I ever have been. So if they wanted to kill me, they could kill me. And I mean absolutely no exaggeration when I say that either. Like, I was legitimately afraid something would happen. So I decided that it would be best for me to get out of there, sign out, resign from education altogether, and never look back. So that's what I did. So, what has happened since? Not a whole lot. I have mostly just been picking myself back up again, trying to recover from all of the stress, because it really was a lot. Like, there was just so much that was going on in those 6 years of me going to college. And in that 1 week specifically, I was just... it is honestly a relief to say that I decided to drop out when I did, and I absolutely have no regrets with my decision. Not a single bit of regret has been. I have not felt a single bit of regret for making the decision that I ended up making, because I have genuinely felt very relieved that I decided to quit when I did, because it really was affecting my mental health in ways that I never even thought were gonna be remotely possible. So I'm very happy with that. Let's talk about moving on. We've been almost 40 minutes into the video, and I only just now started to actually talk about moving on. So this entire process has been, quite frankly, a big relief for me. I have been just chilling out, sitting back. I've been enjoying my life a lot more than I have in 6 freaking years. I feel a lot better than I have in those 6 years about myself, but also just in general. I've been getting into some new hobbies. I could actually just show you guys what I've been getting myself into lately. I'm not entirely sure how many people would actually care about this, but I'm going to show it anyway because I think this is interesting, and I like talking about it. I might make an actual full video on this at some point, if people would be interested in that. But I've been getting into a new hobby recently. And if you know, if you've seen this before, you probably already know where I'm getting at. I've been learning some ballad song flipping recently, which is basically just doing all sorts of crazy tricks. I'm not entirely, I'm not that great at it just yet, but I am learning some tricks, and it has been an absolute blast to do that. Let me see if I can do a reverse rollover. Almost perfect. But yeah, I've been doing that a lot recently, which has been a lot of fun. It's something different from what I usually do, which is just, normally I would do something IT related, something with computers, whether it be Linux, gaming, video editing, or whatever. Most of my hobbies have primarily been behind a computer. This is actually something that gets me away from sitting in front of a screen all the time, which is actually really liberating, to be honest. Like, it has been a wonderful feeling to not constantly be staring at a screen all the time, and to just do something that I can actually do with my hands. And you know, that's just, it's a really liberating feeling. I also have, this isn't the only one that I own, actually. The other one that I have is right here, actually. It's actually not doing quite as well as this one. This one is much newer, for to be fair, but because I haven't really owned this one that long. But I've also been treating it pretty well. This one I've been the least kind to, and it really shows. For one thing, it's been rusting. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it is rusting a little bit, which is not great. Yeah, I don't think you can really... you can kind of see it when I put it like that. It's been rusting. So it's not... the blade is not exactly doing so well right now, but it does have a bottle opener. Both of my ballad songs are trainers, by the way, so they're not sharp, which is very important to me because ballad songs are pretty illegal where I live. So it's important to me that I have a a ballad song that I can actually own, and that I don't have to worry about losing because someone gets offended by me using one at all or anything like that. I am being careful not to flip in public though, because I would not want to be flipping in public and either get confiscated or, in the worst case scenario, get thrown into jail because I own a ballad song. This thing is in not quite as good condition as the other one. The other one is nearly pristine. This one I dropped a few times, and you can really see the black coating of this thing being eaten away. It does not have the greatest play. Like it's I mean, I don't know if you can really see that, but the play is really not great. And also, if you have absolutely no idea how a ballad song's construction works, the construction of a ballad song is extremely important because you want to minimize the amount of play that you get, and you also want to minimize, I don't know if you can hear this in the microphone. Yeah, you definitely do not want that sound to be this bad. Like, this is what is often referred to as tap. However, this is not even tap anymore. This is rattling at this point. It does not sound nice. But that is because this thing doesn't have very good. It's not constructed very well. But it does the trick, you know. No pun intended. It does the trick pretty well of being a ballad song and doing some really cool tricks. Like, I actually want to see if I can do an aerial on camera here. That was not successful. But yeah, this is something that I've been doing to move on from, you know. And also, obviously, I've been making Koen's Corner a lot more again recently. I've been working really, really hard. Actually, let me actually see if I can show you guys. Maybe that would be fun. Yeah, let's just switch in between the scenes mid-video. So I've been working really, really hard on my next Koen's Corner. I have a bunch of lines here that I've already recorded for this, and I've been working hard on getting Phoenix Star animated. So you can see right here, I have Phoenix Star animated in here. This is my puppet. Well, animated, I don't know if I would really call it animated, but it's animated in a very loose sense, in the sense that he can make, I can actually have a lot more freedom with the movement that he has nowadays in his wolf form, because previously he didn't really move all that much. Let me actually show you how what it looks like if I fully finished one line. So this is what Phoenix Star looks like when I actually finished one of these lines here. Let me just drag this over here. Yeah, let's actually check this out together. At this point, it has been a good few years since the Friendship Journal was last seen, going all the way back to the finale of Season 4. It doesn't look perfect. Like, it can definitely look a lot better than it does. But I mean, it's better than absolutely nothing, you know. And this isn't even the most animated that Phoenix Star has been thus far. Like, I'm pretty sure we've all seen the latest upload that I did to the PhoenixStarYT channel. which is, of course, a small portion of the next Koen's Corner that I'm working on. It's this one. This one is lip sync, but it's also a small test to show you guys what is possible with the actual movements. So this is what that looks like. And yeah, he's a lot more animated in this than he was in that one small clip that I showed you earlier, which is really nice. I'm really happy with what I got for Phoenix nowadays. He really came to life, thanks to Jan from Animation Studios, who did a great job at that when he was working on that. So I'm very happy with that. But yeah, those are some things that I've been working on: ballad song flipping, Koen's Corner, and other than that, I've also just been cycling a lot more. If you don't know, the Netherlands is a really good country for cycling. If you just want to go on your bicycle and you just want to go cycle, you can literally do that with absolutely no problem. There's a lot of places, a lot of very good routes for that. And it has become so incredibly good that you can literally travel across the entire country just by bicycle. Like if you have a bicycle in the Netherlands, chances are you can get literally everywhere. It's not really something that I would personally recommend, but you can definitely do it if you really wanted to. And I know a few people who have in fact done that, and it's really darn nice that they can do that. This fan also is not really working with me very well. Let me actually try it with my other one. Because this one flips a little bit better in my experience. Not great, but I mean, it works. This one feels a little bit better to fan actually. I've been learning a lot of tricks on this as well. So yeah, I still have a lot to learn, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, I've had a lot of, if you want to cycle somewhere, you can definitely do that. And I always like cycling through this tiny town that I live in every once in a while, because it's just such a freeing feeling for me. Especially when it's nice outside, when the weather is good and everything, and you can just cycle across the town and enjoy yourself, go fast and everything, which is especially true nowadays with e-bikes. I don't own an e-bike, but I know that a lot of other people do, and they always tell me that e-bikes are the only way to go if you really want to go cycling all the time. And they have someone like me who doesn't give a shit about an e-bike and just wants to ride a bike like a normal person, you know? No, I'm just kidding, of course. I'm just exaggerating. It doesn't matter. Like, do whatever the heck you desire to do. It's all good. But yeah, I do just prefer a normal bicycle instead of an e-bike or one of those fat bikes. Have you seen those fat bikes that have been going around all over the place in recent years? Like, it is absolutely insane how fast those things can go sometimes. Should I do a Chaplin? I kind of want to do this for a little bit before I actually end this video. Nah, let's not do that. But yeah, those are some things that I've been getting into lately, which I've been really enjoying. And they also help me a lot from just distracting myself from all of the thoughts that I have in my head right now. And a lot of other things. There's a lot of uncertainties as to what is going to happen now. Like there's some emails and some letters that I'm expecting to receive from the government, among other people, and also an official letter from school to tell me that I'm actually resigned and signed off and everything from their education. Which I am supposed to receive a letter or at least an email in regards to that, which I'm hoping I will receive that relatively soon, because until then, it's just there's just a lot of uncertainties going on, and I honestly cannot handle uncertainties like that. You know, I kind of like to have some confirmation that that shit is actually processed, and that it's done, and that I don't have to worry about it anymore. But that's just a matter of waiting at this point. So, that was my college story, and my short metaphor for moving on, what I've been doing to move on, and what you could potentially be doing if there is something troubling you, if something happened to you recently that that has really affected you personally. I highly recommend just doing something that you enjoy. Get into some new hobbies if possible, or even just do something simple like watch a YouTube video that you enjoy, watch a good show, watch a good movie, whatever. Drink your favorite drinks. Like one of my personal favorite drinks of all time, Apple Bandit cider, because this stuff tastes very sweet and has a little bit of that juicy apple flavor. You can see that right there. I absolutely love this stuff. I don't drink it often because it does contain alcohol, but you can also just drink soda or whatever, or even just a glass of water if that's what comforts you personally. And otherwise, you could also, like I said, get into some new hobbies. Like, for example, I have also been playing a lot of racing games in the last year, which I've been really loving. And what's actually also really interesting, or maybe not interesting, what I also would like to point out is that I've been getting into more of a Harry Potter mood recently, which you may have noticed from the Harry Potter live streams that I've been doing recently of the Chamber of Secrets. And I've been rewatching all of the Harry Potter movies because they are kind of like comfort food for me, and I really enjoy that. If you have a certain movie that you just like to watch as like comfort food, I highly recommend you also do that, because you would be amazed how much it helps to watch something that legitimately comforts you. Like a lot of the time whenever I feel down or something, I tend to watch a movie that I know will help make me feel good. Like My Little Pony the movie is a big example of that. And some of my favorite content creators like Dan TDM also always help me really well with helping me feel better. And you know, it's just there's a lot of different things that you can do to just distract yourself, or to even encourage yourself to do things. You know, it doesn't really matter what kind of things. If you do things, then you're already doing really well. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that sentence, but I think I'm just rambling at this point, which should be no surprise. I'm at this for almost an hour, so I should probably be stopping now and move on from making this video. No pun intended. But yeah, that's been it for today's Koen's Corner. I hope you all liked it. I also hope you don't mind if I flip my ballad song making this video from here on out, because I really like to have this in my hand while I'm doing some stuff. Expect to see this thing or the other one that I have, like this thing, more often in some of my live streams, because I do like to flip ballad songs every once in a while I'm live streaming. So expect to see these things more often. I'm really excited to do that. And yeah, with that, I wish you all a wonderful rest of your days. And I will see you guys in the next Koen's Corner.